Good evening. How's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Saturday night. It is about 10:30 p.m. California time here. January 11th, 2025. Excuse me if my voice cracks here. I'm still feeling under the weather a little bit, and it's affecting my voice box. So we'll get through this as best as we can. 2.6, the latest earthquake here. South America area, it looks like, down in the Chile region. As far as the West Coast goes, we'll go ahead and zoom in, see what's going on here across Southern California, aside from some big fires going on still. Minimal movement at best for Southern California. There was a 2.7 south of the border early this morning, but for the most part, mainly small microquake activity here centered around the San Andreas Fault. Nothing big showing up here on the map for now. Same for the San Francisco Bay Area, including the Hayward Fault. One little lonesome earthquake. It looks like it's off the Hayward Fault there, 2.1 from earlier this evening. Aside from that, Clear Lake Volcanic Field getting in on the activity with the geothermal operations there. Two more earthquakes there this morning, 3.4 and a 2.1, back off the plate boundary here of the southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone. Tremor map here today shows a little increase here in tremor. Looking at 50 epicenters of tremor. Pretty much spaced out here as well, not really confined to any one location. Mainly down here at the southern end, a little bit up here, up into the Seattle area as well. Of course, the tremor activity occurs downstream, down into the subduction zone of the Cascadia, and of course, occasionally we'll see days of quietness or elevated activity. It's been relatively quiet. Looks like things starting to maybe pick up out here as we've seen those 50 tremors here throughout the day today. What we got up here? One little earthquake outside of the Newberry volcano. That's not an explosion, but it's a little small microquake. It almost looks like they had some type of geothermal operations here that were planned here across the Newberry volcano in Oregon. So I wonder if that's what they're up to right now. Let me go check that real quick, see what we got out at Newberry volcano. There's a couple of seismograph stations there. It looks like they added as well. Borehole. So this is a fairly new station. That could be some type of mechanical noise being picked up there on that graph. Yeah, it looks like I don't know what the whole process is, but they're doing some geothermal exploration activities there across the Newberry volcano. So we should see increasing earthquake activity. This here looks like it just looks like some type of machinery that is showing up on the seismograph station there at the Newberry volcano. As far as this one goes, let's see. Actually, I don't think this one's working yet. Neither is that one. Neither is that one. And I'm pretty certain that's the one I just checked. See if this one's lit up here. Yeah, just barely can see the background noise there. It looks like it's showing up on this seismograph station too. So that's what they were doing. They're doing some type of geothermal explorations there, and it will create some earthquake activity when you tap into a volcano like that. So we'll watch for some further earthquake activity there. Western Nevada is still seeing a bunch of movement out there. Really nothing big going on. Minimal activity here across the oil fields of Texas and Oklahoma today. And a little lonesome earthquake out here around the Inglewood, Tennessee area, outside the Great Smoky Mountains region. 2.2. So for the largest earthquake today, 5.2 is going to be it down in Ethiopia. Not for certain if we've seen anything else here. Looks like maybe a 4.4 earlier this evening. So things still rocking and rolling out here, but taking a little break from the swarming going on. We can double check that and make sure, see if we don't have something stirring up out there as far as anything they're not reporting, that is. I'm going to check out this seismograph station. There's that 5-pointer, 4-pointer right here. A couple other smaller quakes throughout the day today. This is a seismograph station there just outside the Great Rift Valley in Ethiopia, picking up some of that earthquake activity. Aside from that, let's see what we got here for any major movement. Fairly typical. Not seeing anything of any abnormal activity. I guess if I had to choose a spot here as far as interesting activity today, looks like a pretty decent swarm here across the Java Trench area, the southern end. And of course, this area can see some big earthquakes out there. Looks like that's just outside of the. Let me look on the earthquake 3D globe again here. Just outside of the Banda Sea region, if I'm correct. Somewhere out over here. It's been a little while since we've seen larger scale movement. I just pulled up the 8-pointers here throughout the years to get a comparison. And in terms of the time intervals, similar to what we're seeing this year, right? With no 8-pointer yet. Our last 8-pointer was back in 2021. And so that's 4 years of no 8.0 activity. And we should have had one by now. So Banda Sea area, 1963, 8.1. 1977, 8.3. So a little bit of time has passed out here. Yeah, this region could definitely see some big-time earthquake activity there, where we're seeing that little swarm event going on, including a 3.1 coming in right now to the area. We'll keep an eye on that. The Alaska region, pretty quiet. And Kermadec Trench, it looks like a 5-pointer. Fairly shallow earthquake earlier today. Nothing major going on there across the Kilauea Volcano for now on the Big Island of Hawaii. Things just taking a little pause there in the eruption, I believe. Let's double check, make sure. We'll go over to the webcams here real quick and see what we can see. Obviously, a little bright feature there on the camera. Obviously, that's looking somewhat down into the crater area against the crater wall. Still got some lava down there. Magma filling up underneath this area. Should see a return of the eruption here soon. Quick glance at the deformation data. Shows us going back up here. So I think at any time we should be able to start talking about another eruption there across the summit area. All right, quick glance at the space weather activity, or the lack thereof. Been pretty quiet out here in the last 24 hours with flaring, even at times dipping down into the B flare category. I call that the boring class, because really there's not a whole lot going on in terms of the flaring. A look at the magnetogram image here, the complexity of the sunspots. 3947 over there fading away off on the western limb. There's some area back over here in the northeastern area, northeastern limb that looks fairly massive in terms of coverage, but we'll have to look at that as it gets a little bit more into the Earth-directed view. Not really too concerned with this yet. It is starting to fill in a little bit. We'll keep our eye open there on that new sunspot, which is called 3956. Overall flare threat right now, 10%. That's being pretty moderate. I have mine set at 5%, probably less than that. M-flare at 40%. No major roars there in the forecast, folks. Pretty quiet across the board. No major severe weather events expected either in terms of convection and thunderstorms. As far as the weather trends go out here, got a lot of cold air venturing down into the majority of the country once again. Look at that. Cold and dry. Not a whole lot of moisture expected here early next week, but it looks like maybe towards the next weekend here, got a return of some moisture interacting with some colder air. That could stir things up in the severe weather department, bring some snow back behind that frontal boundary, and there's all that cold air dipping back down into the majority of the country there. Lots of it. Gosh darn it here. California, the last couple runs here earlier this morning showed some type of wet system here hitting California, but now it's completely disappeared. So that is not good news. We don't have a drop of rain here in the forecast, not even hinting at any type of rainfall here for California. Look at the total accumulated precipitation runs here. That's not cool. That looks brutal is the word, because January is one of our wettest months out here. We haven't seen a drop of rain here in January. Things are starting to dry up out here. Southern California, it's been dry. Nothing changes down there. It's super, super dry. Far as wind goes out here, we are expecting some elevated wind conditions out here throughout the remainder of the weekend and early next week, specifically up here above the hills in Los Angeles, up above Los Angeles, where the fires are ongoing. So just a heads up, these guys do have some type of red flag warning, I believe, here. Extreme fire conditions out here. There's the high wind warning. This yellow one is going to be a wind advisory. Either way, things are starting to kick up, and that's not good news for the fires. Quick glance here at the fire map. See what we got going on. The Palisades fire, 23,654 acres, with the majority of the hotspot area burning up in the fire perimeter region. That's unfortunate because, you know, there may have been some homes back here saved. I don't know how much is back here specifically in this area, but looks like that's starting to fill back in with fire. Not so much over here across the western area of that fire perimeter of the Palisades fire. Kenneth fire way up north here, that's about 90% containment, so they got a good handle on that. Forward progress is stopped. The Hearst fire looks like that's completely out or close to being out, 76% containment. The other big fire out here is the Eaton fire. That's at 14,000 acres, 15% containment. Most of the hotspot areas up here towards the mountain ranges. I don't really see anything of any significant hotspot readings there across the southern end of that fire perimeter. So aside for that, we'll definitely keep our eyes open out here for any new fire starts. Got people coming in from all over the place, including Mexico here, to fight the fires out here in Southern California. Let's see, a little earthquake right now, a little 1.3 north of Malibu. Aside from that, Southern California quiet in terms of earthquake activity. We'll catch you guys back out here in the morning for the Sunday morning update. Have a good night, folks.